standard SEO? Does my content match with what customers are searching for? The lever that I would pull in order to optimize relevancy is just having the correct key terms, right? I need to have the key terms in my content in order to optimize for that. Next is traffic. Traffic is another input that's used in the Amazon algorithm, and the lever that we can use to pull that is by leveraging Amazon's effective marketing. And I want to emphasize that effective, because not everything on Amazon is effective. They're going to sell you a bunch of stuff that's not effective. So leveraging effective. The next is conversion. So when my customer comes to the detail page, do they have enough information? The lever I would use to influence conversion is having a filled out detail page. Am I selling, and am I using that space to use features, attributes, and benefits throughout that detail page? And then the fourth impact, the fourth part of the Amazon search algorithm is sales. And the lever that I can pull in order to impact that is promotions. And we'll talk about each of these four areas in more detail. So we'll first start with relevance. Okay, so the Amazon search algorithm looks at two main areas really for content. We already heard this in a previous presentation. Title is key, right? Title is the king in terms of Amazon search algorithm. So as you guys are thinking about what are the most important key terms for me, what I want to look for is making sure that those are included in my content, in my title. And what's most important about this is the more to the left, the more front-loaded that key term is to the title, the more weight it holds in the Amazon search algorithm. Now, a couple things about that. Amazon, they do give suggestions about putting the brand at the beginning. You should do that, because if you don't, they are going to reject your offering there. So making sure that you put your brand first and then put the important key terms in that title as much as possible to boost that relevance. The next section is the body of the content. So Amazon specifically looks at the bullet points, the product description, and then the hidden key terms. Okay? And then moving ahead, because we're a little short on time, the last section something that's relatively new within Amazon search is that they are no longer indexing, from what we can tell, the A+ content. So what used to be this great area to influence our search is actually not as impactful anymore unless you're putting things in image tags. Image tags will show up on the A+ content. Now, with that change, I would definitely say blow out the product description as much as you can. That's a great space to put a lot of key terms, and so utilize that as much as you can. Okay, so now that you know where to optimize on the detail page, it's important to optimize off of customer data. I really like this example of a Tetra Cube aquarium kit. Okay, that seems all fine and dandy. It seems like a great title, but if we look in search results, they're not optimizing for the best key term. The best key term would be fish tank. More people are searching for this, so by having the right data and being able to see what your customer trends are and what customers are using, then you can quickly put that into your title and gain more and more traffic. One other note about that is if they had optimized for fish tank, they would have also optimized for fish at the same time, and so had two of the top 3 most relevant key terms for their items. One other thing is to avoid brand speak. You need to optimize for what customers are searching for. So Unilever here, they have Dove Men Plus Care Body and Face Bar, Extra Fresh, 4-ounce 8-bar. Great, that's what they're branded as. But look at what customers are searching for. Dove Men Plus Care, actually really, really far down on the list, right? So it's not, I understand branding is a big deal, but it's also very important. You're here to make sales. You're here to drive traffic. So it's important to optimize for what customers are saying about your product instead of what you think is best or using your brand speak. Okay, next section that we're going to talk about is Amazon marketing. And once again, we'll emphasize effective Amazon marketing. So when I worked at Amazon, I used to sell these type of placements all the time. This is called a billboard, and this is on the software homepage. Okay? We used to sell this for $35,000 for 1 week. It's a lot of money. How many of you have ever been to an Amazon category page? Yeah. I sometimes ask this to people, how many clicks do you think this gets? They go, oh, it's Amazon, so it's got to be 1 million, maybe 100,000. 100 clicks a week. Okay? Amazon, this is one of those areas where Amazon won't tell you this. Why? Because they can continue to sell it. Now, there's other reasons for selling it, because they can build on profitability and continue to sell your items. So there are some uses for this. But in terms of marketing, if you want to push the needle on this type of marketing is not going to help you. Okay? What I would suggest is using Amazon Marketing Services, or AMS, which is Amazon's paid search. This is a great area to be able to, a very cost-effective area to be able to showcase your products. And let's go back to that first stat that we talked about. 90% of all purchases will begin with search. So you know that this is a trafficked area. And if you're on the right places and you can maximize for things like sponsored products by having your items in the search result, or headline search, having it at the top of the search result, or on product pages, you can definitely drive traffic that way. And so that's the lever that I would pull in order to improve my traffic in that Amazon search algorithm. Okay, the next section that we're going to talk about is conversion. And so conversion, once again, just what percentage of customers are actually buying the product that come. It's all about keeping your customers informed. When my wife goes to a detail page and she sees there's one image and there's one bullet point, she goes, I'm done. And she leaves. The more information you can give your customers makes them stay, it makes them learn and potentially buy. Now, one of the things with this too is to understand that you have a lot of space to sell your product. Amazon, first off, over 90% of all customers will look at all of the images above the fold, right? So with that, Amazon is going to say to you, hey, you need to have your box shot as the lead image, and then the other images that are listed are called left box, right box, top box, bottom box. They want all these box views, but that's not really effective. What I would suggest is using those other images as other selling points, other marketing placements for your item. Another way to think about it is filling it with features, attributes, and benefits. I really like what Pampers does right here, right? They use an image to show what the feature is, that they have extra absorb channels, and then they sell the benefit to distribute wetness evenly, right? This is another place for you to sell your product, so use it, right? Additionally, you should be having that in your bullet points. If I see a bullet point from anybody in this group that just says made in the USA, I'm going to be very unhappy with it. Okay? Use that space. Use that space to have a feature, attribute, and benefit to sell your product. All right. One other piece of the conversion that everybody's looking at is reviews. Reviews are super important, right? I have seen brands when I worked at Amazon that absolutely suffered once they started getting bad reviews. So it's important to manage these things. Now, what's interesting about this is not only the review quality that you get, but the number of reviews. So if you have 21 or more reviews, you actually typically will double your conversion rate. And this is directly from Amazon in 2013. Now, what's even more interesting is if you have 4-star reviews or more, it actually results in a 1.6 conversion rate. 1.6 times more conversion rate. So what that's saying is, if I have more reviews, it's more important than having better quality reviews. Obviously, you want both, but think about that. Amazon has a number of services that you can use, such as the Amazon Vine program, in order to get your items up to a point where they can hit that magic number of 21. All right, the last section that we'll talk about is promotions. Sales. Sales is the mechanism in that Amazon search algorithm, and the way that we can improve them is through promotions. So first off, it's important to understand that different categories have different promotions that work for them. If you're in the consumables category, you can see that 64% of the promotions are actually coming from coupon. That's what sells best to your customers. Whereas if you were an electronics dealer, 44% are coming from something like deal of the day or lightning deal. So understanding those type of things and understanding what works best for your clients is really important. Additionally, it's also important to understand what types of promotions work best, or what level of discounts. So for example, during Prime Day last year, we actually found that the most lift our customers saw was in that 41% discount range during those highly promotional periods, Prime Day, day after Thanksgiving, etc. And we actually found if you're discounting at those time periods of under 25%, kind of just throwing money away. So it's important to have that information to be able to determine what's going on, how can I best optimize those promotions. Okay, so let's go back to this last part. So those levers again, relevancy, traffic, conversion, and sales. Now, two of the four, I would say, are kind of a long-term approach, kind of a set it and forget it. Once I get my content in place, I might have to tweak it every once in a while. And once I get all my images and bullet points all set up, like, I can just let it ride. Those are parts of the search algorithm that are more long-term plays. However, traffic and sales, these are competitive aspects of the Amazon search algorithm. I need to know how my competition is doing in terms of AMS and how competitive they're being in terms of promotion. Because if I don't have that information, I could quickly start slipping down in search rank and not really know why. So having the right tools in place to monitor these things becomes very crucial in determining, first off, what's important for my customers, but then also determining how am I doing versus my competition in order to make sure that you continue to grow and grow and grow. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions.
So this is addressing the merge placements that they charge, $35,000 for every clicks. Is there anything, I know AMS works, is there anything in the traditional merch arena that does work?
Yeah, so the things that I like, so the question that you need to ask yourself is this, right? Are customers going to that location that are going to see that marketing placement? Now, within the Amazon merge placements, there are some proactive sends that Amazon has, so things like email is really effective, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, things like that, where Amazon's proactively reaching out to customers. In terms of site placements, it all depends upon how much traffic is going to that individual page. So as you're having discussions with Amazon, you really need to ask the question, how are you driving traffic for my clients or my customers to see this ad, right? And so that's really the question that you need to be asking yourself.
Yeah. So I was surprised to see you mention paid advertising, only because I've seen in other places or read things that shoppers are starting to become trained, they're so accustomed to it, and they kind of know that that's a paid ad and start to just blow right past it. Has that not been your experience?
No, within Amazon, we actually find it a very effective placement, and especially if you do it in a well, right? I remember when I was at Amazon, they just started to launch this back in 2012, 2013 timeframe. Like Anchor, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they carpet bombed everybody. Like it was just on, like it would be on all grocery items, and it's like this little USB port. Obviously, that's not effective, right? But if you have a good enough strategy that you can do things like upsell or advertise your brand in a specific area, and especially if you're low in a given search result, it can put you up to the top and get you a lot more traffic than what you would have had.
Looks like we're going to shut out. We might try and squeeze one last question in, but if not, catch up with Peter afterwards.
Regarding that 64% that you said of the top three results counts for 64% of clicks. Does that include the three sponsored, the top three that are usually the sponsored?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that that's probably changed. The data that we have there is a little bit older than, Amazon recently started putting search